So I just came from my modern African history class, and it just had me really thinking and a little bit frustrated with, I guess, the position of African people slash black people. I know y'all like to be called black instead of African. Today we were watching and discussing Marcus Garvey, and so we started watching a video about like his life, what he did, all of that, like his legacy, all of those things. Now I'm gonna tell you guys that because just in case you don't know Marcus Garvey, I want you guys to have a bit of an understanding and maybe understand why I was frustrated. And this is gonna be a very ghetto fabulous way to tell his story, and some things may not be totally accurate, but I'm just gonna be rushing through it. I am no historian, getting a minor in Africana studies now, but I'm a psychology major, so you're gonna have to just keep up with me and hopefully it'll create a better understanding.
We started off the class with her asking us, well, one, did we read this scholarly article that we're gonna have to read in order to do an assignment next week? Did we read that? Everyone said no, so then she asked us, did we know who Marcus Garvey was? I raised my hand. I didn't see anybody else raise their hand, but I just told like a brief, quick BS story. Not BS, but like very short and very, very vague. So I pretty much just said that he was a black separatist. If you don't know what that means, I will put it on the screen, at least my version of it. But he was a black separatist. He was Jamaican. He was born in Jamaica. One, shout out to Jamaica. I know that you guys are going through a storm right now. I don't know if it's a hurricane or anything like that, but I know it's very intense and very dangerous, and so I definitely want to acknowledge that and be like, prayers up to y'all. That's very concerning. Anyway, though, so he was Jamaican, and that he was deported from America back to Jamaica, and so there we go. And so I pretty much just said that, and there was a girl that was behind me that was just like, oh, I was pretty much gonna say the same thing, and so then she asked us what is Pan-Africanism, and I wasn't really paying attention to this part because I was on my phone, and I would have wanted to answer it. So I would have been like, me, pick me, I want to answer what a Pan-African is, because I consider myself one. I also consider myself a black separatist, especially like after being in like African like history classes and stuff. I'm just like, yeah, that's something I definitely align with. And so pretty much one of the girls was just like, oh, loving being black or something like that. And my professor was just like, yeah, it's part of that, but basically like everyone in the black diaspora, you know, from around the globe, we were separated because of the transatlantic slave trade. That's hard to say in my opinion, but basically we were all separated because of that. And so I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And so we started watching a YouTube video pretty much about Marcus Garvey, his life, what he was up to. And he basically was like born in Jamaica. He didn't really know about like race and stuff because that's not really something you know as a kid. He was playing with like this white little girl, this little white girl. He was pretty much like he got in trouble and yelled at by her family, who was telling her, don't play with that kid, he's a N-word with the hard ER. And so pretty much like he was like, oh, okay, so that's about racism and a racial situation. So pretty much he got older, started moving around like the world a little bit, like not too far from home, but he went to like Costa Rica, was working on a banana plantation. After that, he was seeing like more racial like separation, discrimination, all that, seeing poor white workers being exploited, being abused, all of those things. And so he was just like, you know what, black people, we need to come together. They weren't really effing with that. They were kind of just like, oh, this is our situation. So he pretty much traveled to London. Maybe I could like make some stuff move here. And so he read Booker T. Washington's Up From Slavery, I think that's what it's called, and pretty much learned about Pan-Africanism, like started like to really align with that, and started thinking in his head like, okay, the way that black people, African people are going to break free from these chains. He was like, let's all like be unified, move back to Africa, like very separate from other races and all of that stuff. And so pretty much he wrote a letter to Booker T. Washington, but then found out that he was dead. And so he was like, he went to New York in America, started trying to preach his idea to the black Americans, African Americans, and they were kind of just like, we already have problems going on here, so we don't need to be dealing with y'all problems too. Like, because he was mostly focusing like on Jamaica and stuff like that. But they were just like, we have our own problems, we don't have time to worry about that. And so he started listening, and he was like, okay, he went back to Jamaica, something like that, and read up on like African American history, their struggles and all that, and just like trying to really understand why they would say that. And so he came back and was like, oh, okay, I'm kind of spin this up a little bit and focus on everybody. Everybody needs to go ahead, including you guys with your struggles. This is what you guys have going on. We really need this for y'all too. We need this for every black person. And so they were just like, okay, yeah, like I definitely agree. So then he created the UNIA. I don't really remember what that stands for, but I think it's United Negro Improvement Association, but I'll put it on the screen just in case. But pretty much he was just like, okay, let me create this group, pretty much spread the message. Black people around the world, African people around the world were really agreeing with it. And then they were just like, oh, okay, let's sign up for this thing because it's an organization you can join, all these different things. And a lot of people were liking it, like millions of people. And so pretty much that was a threat to the American government, North America, United States. You already know like where this was leading. And so they did not like it. They were just like, African people rise up, they're going to kill us. Like they're going to kill off white people because that's what's just gonna happen because we're racist. and we think that they're gonna fight back from what we did to y'all. That's pretty much what they were thinking. So they were like, he's a threat, we need to take him out. So pretty much they were trying to find a way to like basically put him in jail, but he was innocent. He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't doing anything crazy. And so pretty much they falsified some stuff and lied and convicted him of mail fraud. So pretty much they put him in prison. He got out a little bit early, was sentenced to 5 years, but instead served like 2. And so then they were just like, okay, you're out because some people wrote letters to get you out of here, but you need to go back to Jamaica, go back to where you come from, and never return. He was deported. And so pretty much he was deported, went back to Jamaica. He was really like kind of lacking on taking care of his Jamaica branch of the UNIA because it was around the world, and was just like, okay, I'm gonna start focusing on y'all. Pretty much like was living his life there, and then he was found out that back in America, after he left, he found out that they were in a lot of debt in America. The branch that collected a lot of debt, he was like, we need to part ways. So pretty much he was just like, y'all no longer a part of us, you're separate, whatever, something like that. And went to London, created headquarters there, all that different stuff. But then he started it started going down from there pretty much. And so he was just like not able to really feed his family, was broke, eventually had a stroke, was paralyzed on his right side of his body, and pretty much died in like London or Jamaica, whatever. He died like just because, I don't know, the past. But he got, yeah, pretty much after that, the professor was just like, what did you guys think about that? She basically said, do you guys think that he was too ahead of his time? Was basically asking for too much? Was unrealistic? And I'm just like,
unrealistic for wanting rights for black people? But I was kind of just like, you know what, Angel? Like, let other people talk because they raised their hand. And then after I hearing what they were saying and hearing that they weren't agreeing with me, they were just like, yeah, he was. I was like, oh, let me not say anything because I'm not agreeing with the rest of these people, but they're all saying the same thing. Just like, yeah, he definitely was. And so I was like, unrealistic, too ahead of his time. What? And so she was just like, yeah. So he was pretty much unrealistic, you know, kind of ahead of his time, like right message, wrong time type of thing. And I'm over here thinking like, what are y'all talking about? And so here is where I really want to like kind of just explain myself on how I feel, just because I didn't say it in class. And so I'm going to tell y'all why black people lack imagination. Pretty much when those people were saying all that stuff, I'm kind of feeling confused just because I'm just like, there will never be a right time to y'all, and just in general, there's never going to be a right time to fight for your rights. There's no such thing as like black people being inherently criminals, being inherently anything. It's just like we're all just people. We're molded into who we are today. That's literally how racism was created. If you're saying like he was unrealistic, I'm just like, can you think about how white people had this idea, came up with it one day, and was just like, hey, black people are bad, we need to take them out, and create this whole world to basically revolve that. I'm kind of just like, why can't we just do the same thing? Or at least just like, we're not even asking for the same thing, to put white people down and for us to rise up. It's just like, no, if we just want basic human rights. Is that too much to ask for? Literally, we just want the bare minimum of that. And so I'm kind of just like, if they can come up with that idea themselves and just make a world out of it, why can't we do the same? Like, when is that? What time does that happen? What date? What year? I'm just so like kind of confused on why people have that idea that black people are supposed to stay in this position and be grateful for the crumbs that we are given. I just don't think that it makes sense, and I don't know why that's seen as asking too much. And that's pretty much when we're learning about Marcus Garvey, and then I'm hearing that, I'm just like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's basically that black people have colonized minds, and I know that's just kind of just like, what are you talking about? You can colonize land, you can colonize places, spaces, all of that different stuff, because I'm learning about that because I'm in geography. But I'm just like, yes, you can have a colonized mind where pretty much you just have these Western given ideas where you're just like, this is the only way to be in the world. This is the only way to move. This is the only way to participate in life. And I'm just like, why is that? Why is that? Just because something is one way doesn't mean it has to stay that way. But I was just kind of thinking about that in class because I'm just like, come on, y'all. Sometimes I feel like sometimes people need a little bit of like childhood imagination or something, because I'm just like, you know what, that would probably be the thing that we kind of need right now in order for you guys to kind of just, you know what, believe in something. Like, I'm not saying for it to be like, we're gonna change that tomorrow, but why not take the steps? I really feel like it should be like, yeah, that's not realistic for people to change in a day. Definitely not. But yeah, very, very, very awkward. Also,
I decided to record, like, from even my roommate was like there and stuff. But I could just hear her whispering to herself, like very annoyed with what I'm doing, just because this is where I recorded stuff. And I also record, it's part of the house, but I just tell she's mad because she's And so pretty much, she didn't like when any like Democrat or left side stuff comes on. She'll like scoff or like roll her eyes and things like that. And anything that's like very pro-black and anti, basically like she'll be like, like not obviously like outwardly, she'll just kind of like scoff and be like, and like things like that. You know, she likes Trump, but when she was leaving, I could tell that she was not fucking with what I was saying because again, she's just Trump supporter, and so
Yeah, I just wanted to note that because that was in the video. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say today. I just really wanted to tell y'all all about that just because I'm kind of just feeling like, dang, like y'all need to open up your minds. Stop being so colonized. Like literally. That's all I'm gonna say about it. But I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.